Welcome to the Synergy Podcast, the space where we redefine how we move, heal, and experience our bodies. I am Ariana Montanari, yoga teacher, soap maker, and beekeeper, and really an advocate for a pain-free, pleasure-driven life. In this space, we break free from the unspoken rules that tell us how we should look, move, and feel. Through intuitive movement, self-care, and a deep reconnection with nature, we explore what it truly means to live without tension, pain, or limitations. So, whether you're a yogi, a seeker, or simply curious about stepping into a more liberated way of living, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. We're still getting to know each other, and I guess that in order to better understand where we are going, or our way to a more pleasurable way of moving and living, driven by desire, driven by what feels good, then I think we need to dive deeper into what it means for the body to be in pain, in discomfort, in tension. Because let's face the truth, this is, I would say, standard status in nowadays life, right? We're always rushing from place to place, and we are more tense than relaxed during the day. I will do this from my own perspective of movement and yoga teacher. I will do this as a former dancer and somebody who has been in sports my whole life. I will do it from the point of view of somebody who has treated the body to meet outer standards for a part of my life. And this chat is not by a physician or a doctor, because I am not, but I did some research and dug deeper into what pain is and what it means for the body and for the mind. And I would like to share that with you. Pain is incredibly fascinating because it is a complex experience that involves the physiological, the medical, and the psychological aspects. Pain is nothing but, between brackets, a protective mechanism to alert the body of a potential threat or an actual harm. But it can also become chronic and debilitating. I'm always very curious about the physiological. So what happens actually in the body when we feel pain? Because there's so much talk or actual down talk of pain. We don't take it seriously, right? Like, oh, you cannot be in that much pain. And we is difficult to trust and actually accept that somebody can be in pain. So from a physiological point of view, pain begins in the nervous system through a process called nociception. Nociception is the detection of harmful stimuli, and it can be thermal, mechanical, or chemical. It begins with the sensory receptors in the skin, so what you feel in the skin, in the muscles, and in your organs. From there, the signal is transmitted through the nerves to the spinal cords and to the brain. The brain receives the signal and interprets it, say, all right, what's going on here? And this gives rise to the conscious experience of pain. So you actually start feeling it. And I remember that this happens in no time. It's super fast. And in the brain, the signals can be modulated. So either amplified, they get bigger, or dampened. Oh no, this is not a real threat. It's good. Pain can be characterized in acute pain and chronic pain. So the acute pain is, say, short-term, protective, and linked to maybe a cut or a bruise, so say tissue injury. While chronic pain lasts beyond average healing, say 3, 6, 9 months, 1 year. And so basically often persisting without a clear cause. So when we feel pain, at least I, want to understand what type of pain it is and what is causing it. And I think that to understand the cause is usually the piece that we're missing. It can be a nociceptive pain, so caused by tissue damage. It can be something that has to do with nerve damage, like sciatica. It can be inflammatory due to the immune system's response to injury or disease. Think of autoimmune disorders. So there is such a variety of pain and what they create in the body and in the mind. So hang on. We're going to go into a more fact-based scientific definition to keep things clear, all right? Let's talk about the fact that pain affects us physiologically and mentally, right? Let's give credit to pain. Let's give credit to people who feel pain and stop diminishing their sufferance, what they feel. Have you ever noticed that when you are in pain or discomfort in your body, your emotions are affected? You have less patience, you're easily stressed, so you have a little bit of anxiety, and these factors, they all influence each other. Like think of when you have a headache, when you have a constant tension in between your shoulder blades or in your neck for like a week. Then you're not as relaxed and at ease as you usually are. It is not as easy to concentrate on a task, to be fully present, because your mind is somewhere else. Your mind, your body is like leaking energy because there is something disturbing in the body. There's a little rock in your stomach. The brain processes pain in areas linked to emotions, such as the amygdala and limbic system, which means stress, anxiety, and depression can worsen pain perception. Chronic pain and mental health are also related, influencing each other. Because people with chronic pain have been shown to often develop depression, anxiety, or PTSD due to the persistent stress and reduced quality of life. So you see, this is not just mumbo jumbo that like, oh, come on, it cannot be that bad. Body shuts down. Our body is all connected. And pain perception varies. Factors like attention, past trauma, or expectations shape how pain is experienced. So for example, distraction can reduce pain intensity, while fear or anticipation can make you feel it more intense. Mindfulness techniques are actually effective in altering pain perception and improving cope mechanisms. So this is why this is so interesting for me, for us working in the yoga and mindfulness world, because we can really support people who are in discomfort, unease with themselves, or that have chronic injuries or aches. We are talking about a very sensitive, multifaceted experience involving biological, psychological, and social dimensions. And while it serves as a protective signal in acute cases, chronic pain can become an illness in itself. And if that happens, it requires a multidisciplinary approach for a better management. So you cannot just approach it, say, with medicines. You need to look at it in a holistic way, in a 360 degrees. You need to understand it. So let us go back to what happens in the brain when we feel pain or discomfort, because this is so fascinating to understand the way this incredible organ processes information from our periphery to the center. So we talk about the central nervous system and the brain processing of pain. So once the pain signals reach the brain, they are processed in multiple regions. This we have named earlier. And I will not get too deep because this is not that scientific, but I still want you to understand so we don't go and talk a language that gets a little bit difficult to understand. So for those of you who are a little bit familiar to the brain and its areas, pain is processed in the thalamus, which acts as the relay station, the welcome point, sending pain signals to different brain areas for further interpretation. Pain is also processed in the somatosensory cortex, which is the area of your brain that helps you with your sense of direction, relative to the world around you. Say how you tell left from right, how you orient yourself and parts of your body using your eyesight, and how you understand the sensory input from both sides of your body. So in this area, the location, intensity, and type of pain is identified. Then we have the limbic system, amygdala and hippocampus. This links pain to emotion, memory, and fear responses. Pain is also analyzed in the prefrontal cortex, which analyzes pain cognitively, helping with decision-making and pain management strategies. I mean, do you understand? Our brain is just incredible. So all these areas together determine how intense, unpleasant, and threatening the pain feels. What happens then with chronic pain? So the body can regulate pain through excitatory and inhibitory pathways. So it can become bigger or become less intense. For instance, in chronic pain conditions, the nervous system can become actually hypersensitive to pain. So if you're always in pain, then it is easier for minor things to actually hurt. And I think that this is somewhere that socially is a little bit mocked or like, no, I don't believe you. But this is how our body works. So having knowledge is having power. So I really want you to know these things, so that there is nothing wrong with you, but this is how our pain affects us. I want to take a moment to talk about something truly special and close to the heart. Mielestrega, my own line of natural handmade body products. And as you know, I am passionate about moving with ease and feeling good in our bodies, and that extends to what we put on our skin. Each batch of Mielestrega products is crafted with love, for real, by me, using ingredients from my very own beehives and my darling bees, combined with the pure botanicals. Whether it's a soothing, luxury whipped body butter, a nourishing lip balm, or a gentle soap, everything is designed to support your body's natural rhythm, just like the practices we explore here. If you're looking for skincare that's pure, it's intentional and deeply connected and aligned to nature, check it out at mielestrega.com. And because you're a listener, I've got a special gift for you. Use the code SYNERGY10, spelled with Y and Y, for 10% off your first order. Now, back to our conversation. So on the other side of the scale, the brain can suppress or decrease pain through the release of neurotransmitters like endorphins, the body's natural opioids that reduce pain perception, both physical and emotional. And then we have serotonin, and these neurotransmitters work on modulating pain signals at the spinal cord. This is when yoga and mindfulness come into the picture. Ta-da! You know, I led you here. So these neurotransmitters are like the heroes of the situation. Endorphins and serotonin are, as we said, natural chemicals in the brain that helps regulate mood, stress, pain perception. And increasing their levels can improve well-being and reduce pain. Wow! There are natural painkillers and mood boosters. So you might wonder, how can we stimulate their production naturally? How can we have more? We want more. I'll tell you, through yoga, through exercise, especially if you want like more high intensity workouts, but just like moving. Okay, go for a walk, for a run, cycling, biking, swimming. This will trigger endorphin release. And this is why we feel so good after exercise. You're having a bad day, you say, okay, I'll go and train, and then you suddenly feel better. And remember then that the most difficult moment when you are feeling down, or when you feel that the discomfort is just like, you don't know where to go. You feel uncomfortable with yourself. Just taking these 5, 10, 15 minutes of exercise can significantly improve the way you feel. Laughter is also therapy. that is used for pain relief and stress reduction. Can be just pretending to laugh. Absolutely uncomfortable the first times, but I promise it works. Joking with your friends or engaging in fun activities that makes you laugh, that also increases endorphins. Now, my favorite way of triggering the release of endorphins is spicy foods, because what makes spicy food spicy triggers pain receptors, which in turn stimulate endorphin release. This I like a bit better. So it's dark chocolate. Dark chocolate contain compounds that stimulate the brain to release endorphins and serotonin. Listening to music can also help us, and of course meditation and deep breathing. So mindfulness meditation and deep slow breathing, which means like diaphragmatic breathing or like belly breathing, help reduce stress and trigger endorphins. So notice during the day if you're breathing lower rib cage and abdomen, or if you're breathing up in the chest. When you breathe up in the chest, that's a breath that kind of stresses your body. When we try to breathe lower down, and that is a deep breath, lower towards the lower rib cage, the abdomen and the pelvic floor, that's what we call a deep breath. And that what calms your body, your nervous system. So again, whenever you feel tense during the day, kind of take a little break, notice where you're breathing, and then, relax your face, relax your shoulders, relax your abdomen, and try to see how deep you can go with your breath. Relaxing the abdomen and breathing into it, feel that it is expanding in all directions, like a little bubble, expanding when you breathe in and shrinking when you breathe out passively. I hope that helped. Physical touch also helps, and that can be in intimacy, kissing, hugging, and even massaging can stimulate endorphin production. Cold exposures, so cold showers or ice baths, that can also help us increasing endorphin levels and improve mood. Low serotonin levels are linked to anxiety, depression, and chronic pain. And for us living in Sweden, we are kind of bound to have a little lower serotonin levels during the winter, because exposure to sunlight increases our serotonin production. So think that already 15-30 minutes of natural daylight / sunlight, whatever you can find, if you live in Sweden or in the north of the world, that can help you. And in any way, vitamin D supplements can be a valid alternative. I, for instance, notice that when I'm not taking vitamin D, it's easier for me to feel more tired and kind of low mood. Yeah. And then when I start taking it, it goes up. I feel better. I feel more in power. Regular exercise, it goes hand in hand with what we talked about earlier. So any form of physical exercise increases serotonin, but say yoga are particularly effective because they also help us to become more aware of our body. Yoga practice help us to reconnect with our body, its functioning, its needs in a loving way. And then if you think that our guts produce about 90% of the body's serotonin. So guess what happens when we eat poorly or we eat highly processed food? Well, our gut health is not in the top shape. And so through a healthy diet, and I will not go into detail here, you can read more about it on the internet, and say a diet rich in probiotics. If you make your own fermentation experiments at home, go for them. Kimchi or sauerkraut. That's a very, very good ally, especially during the winter, because we go and support our gut health. I read that also keeping a gratitude journal can improve serotonin levels over time. Interesting, right? Something else that can help us, and something that I believe is a little bit hard to achieve here in Sweden, or if not hard to achieve, but at least it's not as spontaneous as, say, in Italy, where I come from, is social connections, interactions with other people, possibly positive and pleasant, because spending time with our loved ones, engaging in small conversation or bigger, meaningful conversation, so feeling connected to others, feel seen, can boost serotonin. I think that's amazing. And now, I hope you got a clearer picture of what happens in our body when we feel pain or discomfort, both temporary, like I hit something with my leg and now it hurts, or chronic. So it's been 3 months that my knee hurts. So what's going on? By understanding that, we can more consciously look for a solution. You know what I mean? When you have the knowledge, then finding a solution, it's much easier because you know where to look, at least. And then we can go to kind of micromanage our habits until we find what is causing the discomfort, what is causing this unbalance in our body and mind. I truly believe that this is part of the empowerment process to take back the power over our bodies, enabling us to basically better understand the messages that our body gives us and acting accordingly. So that's a wrap for today's episode of the Synergy Podcast. I hope this conversation sparked something within you, a new way of thinking, feeling, or moving. If you love this episode, let me know, share it, leave a review or a comment, or connect with me on Instagram, where you will find me under the name Mielestrega. And if you're ready to go deeper, check out my yoga offerings and handmade natural products at mielestrega.com. Remember, your body is yours, your pleasure is yours, and living pain-free is possible. Until next time, with ease and live with joy.